Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mir Zahir Abbas. I'm the Operations Manager of SciSec. Welcome to today's webinar. The regular ground rules, all attendees to the webinar will be on mute by default. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. You can type your question on the chat window and it will be responded after the completion of the presentation. This webinar is part of weekly series titled Some Gajadvams May We All Progress Together. The objective is to cover different topics of security over the course of this series. We want to provide a conceptual overview in this webinar to the various aspects of security and hope this will kindle your interest to explore further. This is the 38th webinar in the series. This is a two-part webinar on the topic DevSecOps. Let's start. The audience can expect to take away a good understanding of DevSecOps implementation, challenges, and approach. The first part will be today, which will cover the theoretical concept of DevSecOps. The part 2 will be conducted next week, which will cover the technical implementation of DevSecOps. We will have more webinars lined up next month, and I hope you'll find this series of webinars useful. Do let us know if you have any feedback as well as any ideas to share with us. We are also going to record this webinar, and the recording will be uploaded on SciSec YouTube channel. So you can always refer back to the video later if necessary. Kindly request all the participants to subscribe to our SciSec YouTube channel. As usual, we will have an assessment made available at the end of the webinar on the webinar registration page. The assessment will be kept open for 60 minutes after the completion of the webinar. The link for the feedback will be shared at the end of the webinar. The assessment is open to only those who have registered on our SciSec portal and participating in our webinar. Those who get 7 or more correct out of 12 will be provided the certificate of achievement. Those who successfully complete the assessment will be provided the certificate of participation. The questions are from the topic covered during the webinar, so you should not have much difficulty in cracking this assessment. At the end of the assessment, you'll also be asked to provide feedback of the webinar. Please provide your genuine feedback, and rest assured the feedback will not have bearing on the assessment. On the registration page that was used to register for this webinar, you could see on the screen that there is something called register share. Next to that, after the webinar, the link to take an assessment will be activated. You have to go to this registration page and click on assessment to take the assessment after this webinar. Now let me introduce the speaker for today's webinar. It is great to have Mr. Madhavan with us today. Madhavan is an information security engineer at Sumeru. He is an expert in application security and penetration testing. He also has been specialized in DevSecOps engineering and implementation. Madhavan has helped multiple organizations to set up their application security program and consults on DevSecOps. Now I will hand over to Mr. Madhavan to take you through the next part of the webinar. Over to you, Mr. Madhavan.
Yeah. Thanks, Abbas. Excellent introduction. So Abbas, I guess you need to allow me to share the screen. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so I hope everyone can see the screen. So I'll just start a webinar. So as Abbas said, this is going to be a two-part webinar. So in the first part, I'll just discuss about basics of DevSecOps and how it comes to this. How it came to picture like that. So the second part, I'll be like second part will be mostly about the practical approach about the DevSecOps, and then I show how to use the tools now. So let's get started. So Abbas, I mean, gave me a beautiful introduction. So I'll just skip this part. So agenda for this webinar is, so first I'll be talking about this SDLC and its evolution with the help of couple of models. So and then I'll just give a introduction about DevOps, and then we'll discuss about how security was implemented in DevOps, and then we'll move on to the DevSecOps and explain how the DevSecOps pipelines are created, and then we'll discuss about the tools that have been used in the DevSecOps, and finally we'll talk about what DevSecOps can provide to the organization and what cannot provide. So and towards the end, I'll just summarize what we have seen in this session. So I'll just get started. So software development lifecycle. So you to create a to create a software or application will be going through several phases, like right. So these are you can see these four steps. So these are the basic stages that have been in the that is in the life cycle of every software development. So it's basically plan, code, test, deploy. So during the plan phase, development team and then this client will sit together, and development team will gather the requirement from the client, and then we'll design how they are going to build the application and what technology they are going to use. Those, how many numbers of people are needed for this to develop this application, like that. Those planning and designing will go on the plan. And then during this code stage, developer will sit and start to build the application. After the completion of code stage, development stage, code stage, so the product will, the application will move on to the test phase where the QA testers and the other testers will happen. So the testers are passed. So
Madhavan, sorry
Yeah.
sorry for interfering. Your voice is not coming out very clear. If you can come a bit closer to the mic, that may be better.
yeah. So now it's clear. This.
I guess so. Yeah. Please carry on.
Yeah.
If not, I'll let you know.
Okay. 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 Fine. So during the test phase, like I said, the testers will test out the application, build an application, whether the application is meeting the requirements of the client. And then if the test case is passed, then they'll deploy the application. So this is a simple idea about the software development lifecycle. So to implement this, there are plenty of models available. So you might know about this waterfall, agile, spiral, Big Bang model, and then iterative model. So plenty of models are there. So each has their disadvantages and advantages. So I'll just give you, we'll just talk about this couple of models, waterfall and agile, and then we'll move on to the how DevOps and DevSecOps comes into picture. So let's talk about this waterfall model. So like the name says, it will flow like a waterfall, like water flows in in the steps. So in the plan stage, they'll be capturing the requirement from the client, and then they'll move on to the code phase. Then they'll build the application, and then testing will happen, and then deploy. So this entire waterfall model is, to put it in a simple words, it's one-way process. So if client if client comes with a new requirement during the code or test phases, you cannot go there and make the changes that clients ask for. So that is not possible. So if the frequent changes are not possible, so if clients comes and ask for a change during this code test or declaration, so you need to restart the entire process again. So you need to come from plan code test and deploy. So frequent changes are not possible during this waterfall model. So this is a biggest disadvantage of this waterfall model. So, and then this is
Madhava, again, the voice is not. There is a bit of deterioration in the voice quality.
Now, is it clear? Now.
Yeah, please proceed. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So, like I said, this is not very friendly for a client. Not a very friendly model for a client. So this will and also this will not work fine for the long projects.
So Madhavan, it's still not very good. See, WebEx has a dial-in option. Do you want to try using that? That might make it a bit better.
Which one you?
There's a dial-in option. If you look at your WebEx screen, there's under audio connection in the bottom, there'll be an option to dial in. You can dial into a phone number.
Once again, I'll just stop sharing.
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Like I said, this will be not. I mean, this waterfall model will not be very efficient model. So this will not provide any provide the application very efficiently. So these are the biggest disadvantages about the waterfall model. So this brings then this agile model came into picture. So unlike waterfall model, like that unlike a waterfall model, you are not going to build the application in a single application in a single stretch. So you basically in agile model you just basically separate separate the development process into smaller short-term periods called sprints. So in every sprint will have a smaller requirement, and then they'll build the application, and then they'll test, and then they'll review. So I'll just show you this diagram. So you can see here. So sprint will be mostly typically 2 weeks. So it can be more than more than 3 or 4. So it also can be 1 week also. So in each sprint they'll be the planning the smaller requirement, and then they'll build out from that, and then they test, and then towards the end they have a phase called review. So in that phase they'll be the client will sit and verify the output which came from the sprint. So after that they'll give some feedback about the outputs, and then if then the developers the agile team will address the feedbacks in the next sprint. So if they give some any issues or any other things, then they'll be addressing those in the next sprint. So like that this agile will go on. So to put it in a simple term, so agile addresses the gap which was there in the waterfall model. So addresses the gap between the client and development team. So but the problem with agile is it not address the gap. Still the development and operation teams are working in silos. So during those while deploying, the development team will provide the the code to the operation team. So the code will not work. In most cases, code will not work, or they'll be having. The operation team will having some compatibility issues, or some pages are not working. So these kind of issues were there in between development and operation. So there is a big block between developer and operation team in the agile model. So to to address this issue, DevOps came into picture. So DevOps basically address the gap between development team and then the operation team. So to put it in a simple term, so agile is the agile address the problem between client and development team. So whereas DevOps address the gap, the problem between development team and then operation. So unlike those models that we have discussed, DevOps is a culture, so software development culture. So this basically this culture, these people's only basically focuses on developing application very very frequently and efficiently as possible. So the continuous, the iteration process still there in the DevOps. So here also we have this shorter period of development life cycle. So, but this one more thing about DevOps is it encourages, it aims to automate the entire process which have been from code towards the deployment phase. It tries to automate the entire process. So through this it will achieve this the efficient and mostly achieve the efficient product delivery. So and also both developer and operation teams are cross-filled, which means developer knows what operation team will look for in the code, and the operation team have knowledge about the developer, so that they have a mutual understanding. So the developer builds the code which will which will not face any issues during the operation team, and the operation team also have the developers the idea, and then they'll the rectify the problems which were there in the previous model. So this is this diagram will show you some different phases which are in the DevOps lifecycle. So the basic stages that we have discussed really is there, also here also. So also there. So plan stages there. So plan usually gather requirements and designing the application, code build and test, deploy, those things are there. So DevOps, like I said, it basically aims to automate the entire process, right? So we'll be making use of tools, especially tools here to to achieve the automation. So here you can see in code phase we'll be using Git and Subversion. For building the application, building the code, we'll be using Maven or Gradle. So a lot of tools are there. So I'll be giving some examples here. So Maven or Gradle. So test test the application. So we have Selenium, which is automated automated QA testing kind of a tool. So you can write a code to test the application, and then it will automatically test the application. So these things are there. So then to deploy, we have this Ansible and then Chef, tools like Ansible and then Chef. To deployment phase, you can Ansible, like it will fetch the code from the test phase, and then it will automatically deploy the code to the desired infrastructure. So this entire process will happen automatically. So I'll just show you a simple pipeline, DevOps pipeline, so you can understand it. So this is simple pipeline for application. So let's take it as a Java application. So when developer commits a code, it will, pipeline will started. So there is a phase which is built. So here we will be making use of Maven or other tools which are like which are used to build the Java application. So here we basically in a Java application we'll be compiling the Java code, and then we'll be getting out var or jar files, right? So those things will happen here in the build stage, and then we'll be deploy those the application into the staging server. So then we'll be performing this Selenium or other testing inside the staging environment. So then if the test cases are passed, then we'll move the application to the production deploy. So this entire process will automatically orchestrated using these tools which I shown in the below, like GitLab or Jenkins. So using these tools, we can create a pipeline, and then we can write code to build or to deploy to trigger the UAT testing phase or deploy the application. So this is the basic pipeline which I can show, which will give you an idea about DevOps. So how DevOps is. So, and this word you will be hearing a lot when you discuss about DevOps. So CI/CD, which is CI/CD is a let me put it this way. CI/CD is a method to achieve the DevOps philosophy. So where the goal of CI/CD is to establish the entire development process into an automated pipeline. So if you see CI, so which is continuous integration, so it aims to get the code from the developer, and then it will build or make a output from the code, and then it will push it to the testing phase, and then it will get some working software as an output. So then CD comes into picture, which is continuous delivery or deployment. So it will take the input from the CI phase, and then it will automatically deploy it to the desired infrastructure, like production or any other infrastructure that you want. So this diagram will give you an idea. So from code to build test these phases, this is you can call it as CI, which is continuous integration. From here to deploy, you can call it as a continuous delivery or deployment. So this is about DevOps. So let's discuss problem with DevOps. So as of now, I haven't talked about security. So let's get into security. So with DevOps, or DevOps in place, security is treated as a roadblock. So they have the security, penetration testing or vulnerable assessment towards the end of the software development lifecycle. So after they hosting it on the production server, then only they'll think about the security aspect. So this is a important problem with DevOps. So which is they are ignoring the security in the the development phases. So and also they'll think the penetration testing is enough to secure application kind of thing. So let me give you an example about how security was in the DevOps. So you can see here a simple pipeline about DevOps. So this is basically developer commits the code, and then build stage will happen, staging setup will happen, and then they'll deploy to the staging server, and then this UAT and then QA, those things will happen, and then they'll deploy to the production server, right? So then only the security came to picture. After the production deployment, they'll be performing this manual, the penetration testing or the vulnerability assessment to the application which is in production. So what if during the penetration testing, the tester have find out a high severity vulnerability. So he'll report it to the developer, right? So so the developer gets know about this issue, then he'll remediate this issue, and then this he'll remediate this issue, then he have to go through all these phases again, right? So after remediation, he have to push the code, and then this again this build stage will happen, this staging server deployment happen, then the UAT tester need to happen, right? So and then only they'll need to deploy the application. So what if we, push the left, push the security towards, left. So here I have shown you a pipeline which I have introduced a simple source code review tool towards the in the early stage of the pipeline. So when the developer commits the code, we have a a tool in the first stage. So this automated source code review tool, like it will scan through the files, the source code, and what if it will report a the SQL injection. So here you can see the developer gets to know about the vulnerability as early as possible, right? So this would have been like this haven't gone through the build or other stages. So basically we found out the the issue early in the stage. So this tool will like report the vulnerability to the developer. Then developer remediate the vulnerability. Then you can push the code to the pipeline. So in this way we have saves the time which would have been happened in these phases, right? So this gave us a lot of this will protect us from wasting time in wasting times in these phases again. So this concept, this idea is called as left shifting. So this basically you can imagine like previously the security was only in the end of the pipeline, right? So in the example that I have shown previously, so I have put the security push the security towards the left, right? So this idea is about left shifting. So left shifting, the advantage about left shifting is it can find the vulnerability as early as possible in the the software life cycle, software development life cycle. So this can reduce reduce the vulnerability fixing time and also the efforts that would have been wasted in the other stages of the pipeline. So this simple the concept leads us to the DevSecOps. So DevSecOps is some this is also culture. So you can see I have introduced security in every phases of the DevOps phases, right? DevOps stages. So during the plan stage, we have introduced threat modeling. So the code stage we have. So I'll explain this these different kinds of testers in the next slide. So I have introduced the SAST and pre-commit checks, independence checks during the code phase. We have the container security scanning. If the application, the pipeline is having a container based deployment, and so during the testing phase we have dash tool. Then after deployment we have this configuration reviews and also, and we have the usual penetration testing and the vulnerability assessment always in the in the end. So we have this WAF and other deployments, WAF deployment, log monitoring, those things also there. So let me give you a simple DevSecOps pipeline. So here, so this is also same same pipeline as I showed you in the DevOps space. So here, so I have introduced several security security tools inside the pipeline. So you can see during before build stage we have secret scanning and then SCA and then such. I'll explain these things in the next slide. So we have introduced these secret scanning, SCA, SAS tools and all here. So after staging deploy we have dash scanning. So we'll be making use of our strap there. So and then infra scan is there, and then complaints complaints code complaint scan is there. After we can deploy it to the production. So this this security in the in the DevOps is what known as DevSecOps. So we have introduced security inside DevOps ideology. So all these tools will initiated during the pipeline run. So it will report the vulnerability to a tool, to a vulnerability management tool. So this vulnerability management is centralized in server application. It will get the reports from the security tools, and then it will show you the management kind of a dashboard kind of a look to the to find it vulnerability. So we have discussed plenty of tools there, right? So these are kind of tools that have been going to explain here. So there is secret scanning tool, and then SCA, which is software composition analysis, SAS dash, and then compliance, IAC, infrastructure code, and then vulnerability assessment. So these are the you can say generic tools that are needs to be in a DevSecOps pipeline. So other things also there, but I'll be explaining here. So these are the basic tools which are need to be in the DevSecOps pipeline. So let me explain one by one. So there is pre-commit hook. So usually when this is a mistake which developer often makes. So usually while developing, the developer hard code the credentials or tokens or API keys in the code, and then he commits the code. So this is a huge risk for application, right? So if the attacker found out this hard-coded credentials in the application, then attacker can potentially harm the organization, right? So this risk can be simply rectified using this pre-commit hooks tool. So these tools are like like installed in the developer workstation. So it is basically it can be an IDE plugin, or you can install in your IDE, or this also comes with the separate tools also can scan the code there. So this basically regex pattern. So it basically search for the search with the regex pattern towards the code, then it will be notifying if anything found there. So the Git secret is the most popular tool for this. So it will reliable tool for scanning these secrets there, secrets in the code. So then we have this software composition analysis. So today, if you take today, so we are developing a code on top of different libraries or plugins, right? So we are not building anything from scratch. So we'll be making use of different libraries or plugins, open source plugins in our application. Then we'll build on top of that, right? So this SCA tool will look for any outdated or vulnerable libraries in your code. So this tool will basically have a database. It will scan your code, and then it will find if it find anything plugin or library, it will just compare it with its database, like if it is vulnerable or outdated, thing like that. So for this, OWASP has a interesting tool, which is dependency check, which can be used with multiple languages. So I'll be showing you these tools, which are mostly open source. So there are plenty of tools also there. So I'll show them later. So then we have this static application security testing. So this SAST is basically performing source code review with the the source code review automated kind of thing. So this tool will scan the source code, and then will notify any vulnerabilities found. So these tools has a potential to find out SQL injection or cross-site scripting, other command injection. Those things also can be found out using this. So using this SAST tool. So problem with this tool is this might have produce lot of false positive. So we may need to fine tune the tool to produce a lesser false positives reports. So this tool will will scan through, like I said, will scan the source codes, right? So this will happen before the deployment. So before the application is deployed or move to the build stage or something like that. So this need to be happen in the source codes. Then there is dynamic application security testing. So which is in contrast to SaaS. This will only scan the application only if it is deployed or application in running state. So if you take a web application, then it need to be deployed in a server. Then only you can make use of this dash tool to perform the scan to the application. So this also has a potential to find out most of the worst top 10 vulnerabilities like SQL or other authentication based issues. Those things it has the potential to find out. So compared to SaaS, this will give us lesser false positive, but it is also might give you false positive, false positive issues. So we towards the end we can check. I mean, we can compare this it's a dashed output and then the SAS output. So we can compare and then we can eliminate the false positive like that. So those these tools can be used very um, used very leveraged. Leveraged to an extent by we are using. So then complaints as code. So the organization have complaints, right? So there is if organization is a health oriented health department oriented things, and then they need to comply to this HIPAA or other. HIPAA is there, so other things are there, right? So this complaints are like basically set of rules. So we can convert those rules into a script, and then we can make those, we can run those scripts using these inspect tools or other tools during the pipeline automatically. So in the pipeline automatically. So this is complaint code. So complaint is basically rules. So we can convert it to a bunch of scripts. So using these tools like inspect or other tools also there. So using these tools like inspect, we can trigger the scripts and we can make changes to the infrastructure. So security infrastructure as code, basically, this is basically performing a scan or configuration review in the infrastructure. So this is also a bunch of scripts that we need to run in the infrastructure using these tools like OpenVAS or other tools like like I say Ansible is there. So plenty of tools are there. So this is basically auditing on the infrastructure. So then we have this vulnerability management. So like I said, so every tool that I have been explained in the previous slides will generate different kind of results, so kinds of reports. So you cannot go there and analyze each and every report. So you should have a centralized system to show you the results in a human readable format. So there the vulnerability management will comes to place and will help us here. So this basically fetch the information, fetch the reports from the above tools. So then it will show us, shows the this reports in a human readable dashboard kind of format. So and these tools can be integrated to a bug tracking system or other tracking systems like Jira or other tool, so that you can follow those bugs there. So So Archery is one of the open source tool available for this LMT management. So yeah, so then so there are plenty of tools there. So I have showed you, I mean, one or two tools for each every types of tests. So there are plenty of tools available there. So both open source and then community editions, I mean, commercial editions also there. So these are the tools for each and every places. So secret management, so during, pre-commit hooks, while explaining, you might have the question. So if I'm not allowed to store the credentials in the, code, then where I'll be showing, you might have this question. So in those scenarios, we are making use of the secret management tools like Vault or the Kiwis. Those tools will there. So we'll be storing those, the tools, I mean, the credentials in these tools. Then we can access this credential with in a secure manner. Uh, secure manner. So these images show you, only bunch of tools for each and every phase. So there are plenty of other tools also there. So I'll just show you how to select a tool for a while implementing in the DevSecOps, environment. So DevSecOps package. So you might you don't want the tool to be, tool have a this GUI and then the graphical user interface kind of thing. So you want the tool to support either command line interface, or the tool should have a API integration facility. So you cannot automate, these tools which are using GUI interfaces, right? So the tools that are going to pick will have a should have a command line interface, or API supports should be there. So and the tool should consume lesser resources. So you don't want that, you don't want the tool to consume lot of resource from your service, right? So it should consume lesser. So that is a criteria that needs to be. So I mean, while looking for the tool selection. So and then we should look for Docker support. So if you have tools that support Docker image or something like that, so then it would be easy to implement the tools in your environment, right? So uh, yeah, some tools will not work in some OSs, so some tools will work in Linux alone. So if you are using a Windows system, you cannot implement those tools here. So if the tool supports Docker's there, then that would be easy. You can just pull the image, then start using the tools. So the other point, which is other criteria, which is tool should, I mean, this is especially for SC or SC SaaS tools. So tools should, tools should produce lesser amount of false positive, or it should have the option to customize the tool to reduce the, to reduce the false positive numbers. So this is also important point while looking for a tool. So tool should have lesser running time. So this is also, so you should not want your tool to run 3 or 4 hours. So you want the results quickly, right? So anyway, you are only performing these scans only to a part of application only, right? So tool should run only minimum of 1 or 2 minutes to maximum 15 minutes. Some tools will run quickly also. So maximum 15 minutes enough for a tool to run. So and then the results generate consumer results. So tool, I mean, the tool should give you a report in a standard manner, right? So you want your results to be JSON or XML. So preferably JSON or XML. You don't want the tool to print out the outputs in a command line. So you cannot like go and read the every output that it gave. So you want the tool to give you on a standard output with preferably JSON or XML format, so that you can integrate those output to the vulnerability management later in the pipeline. So no tool is complete in itself. So which I mean, so you should have, I mean, you might have a situation where you want to, build a wrapper on the tools, so you can customize the report there. So these things will come into picture while picking the tools. So we'll just see a generic case study. So see in the image, so in the top of the image we have a development phase which will happen in 4 months, so May, June, July, namely. So the top image will have the DevOps implementation. So there you have the manual penetration testing every 2 months. So and then you can see the resolve 0-day resolve date. So this touch is a 0-day, which is in the application from May itself. So you are only fixing the issue during the during the mid of the 2 months. So because you are only finding know about the issue while doing the manual penetration testing, right? So you can see the resolving date and the founding date will be very higher when compared to the below image DevSecOps. So in the DevSecOps phase, you can see the 0-day is resolved very quickly as it founds, because you have these tools like tools in the pipeline, right? So this will not wait for the penetration tester to come and report. So the tools will report the vulnerability as soon as possible, and then you will be resolving the issue. So this gives us average, you can see average of 75% increase when compared to other DevOps models. So I mean, when compared to DevOps model, while for resolving the issue, so resolving the vulnerability. So and also it decreases the time to market. I mean, development time to market. The value drastically. So security in place, the product will. I mean, security is taken care in the pipeline, then the product will reach the market very soon, right? So we'll not wait for the pen tester to report and then we need to remediate all those things. So we found out the issues early in the phase, then we'll remediate as soon as possible in the pipeline. So this will give us the time to market. Time is too drastically reduced. Then we have this business impact, which are while doing the penetration testing, the vulnerabilities found during the penetration testing will get declined because of we have get to know about the issues, and then we'll fix the issues while the pipeline is running, right? So the vulnerabilities found in the penetration testing or other manual testing in the end will drastically reduce too. Then this alignment in compliance account. So compliance part will be automated, right? So the compliance requirements is sorted out using this DevSecOps implementation. So remediation of vulnerabilities also happen very quickly, right? So we'll get to know about the issues very quickly. So we'll remediate the vulnerabilities as soon as possible. So this is also important business impact. So remediating the vulnerability in the early phases will save us a lot of time and efforts, right? So this will increase efficiency drastically. So enhance security culture, which I mean, so like I said in DevOps, so both developer and operation have the responsibility to they both cross skilled and have their each other's know their each other's skill, right? So here also in DevSecOps, so both all the teams have the responsibility about the security. They know, I mean, they implement security in their every phase. So the developer will have a security mindset while developing the application, and the operation team also have the uh, development, security aspect to the deployment. So this enhance the culture of security in the teams. Then we have this. Then we have this. Uh, what DevSecOps brings and what does not bring. So DevSecOps, as you know, it automated entire. Most of the security tasks in the pipeline, right? So it is very what is it? So it automates the security task in second. So basically, sorry, automate the security task, uh, which should have been cost plenty of times if you are using the traditional model. So this is a greater advantage about DevSecOps, which is automate the most of the security aspects in the development lifecycle. So then the CI/CD pipeline orchestration. So this is also similar to the above point, which is we'll be using this Jenkins and GitLab to orchestrate this entire pipeline. So this continuous integration and continuous delivery or deployment will happen very efficiently with even the security in place. So, and security is everyone's responsibility. So like I said previously, so everyone will take the responsibility about the security in the application, in development or process. So developer both operation, and then they don't wait for a security person to come and teach them. Ask them about security, or ask them to do like this or like that. So they have the responsibility about this DevSecOps, security aspects to in their respective fields. What's DevSecOps not brings, which is and one more thing about DevSecOps, it is not a replacement for pen testing or other manual testing like vulnerability assessment or something like that. So pen testing or other manual things will always be there in the end of the life cycle. So that we can found out the vulnerability which are missed during the pipeline type. So and business logic vulnerability. So these tools that we have discussed during this pipeline, so that will not report any business logic. That can detect business logic vulnerability. So this will always be there. The business logic vulnerabilities will always be there. So we'll need to use the manual testers to found out these vulnerabilities and remediate them. So and this will not give us 100% trusted results. So always the false positives there. The you know uh, and we cannot guarantee that it has detected all the potential vulnerabilities. So it might miss something, something some severe vulnerabilities during the DevSecOps cases, but it will detect most of the vulnerabilities. Most of the vulnerabilities are available. No ASP or any other state. So that's it. So let me summarize the webinar. So we have looked about this. We have seen about this SDLC and its evolution with the help of waterfall and the agile model. So then we have discussed about DevOps. Then we have discussed about this how security was in DevOps. Then we move on to the DevSecOps world, and then we'll discuss. We have discussed about this idea about left shifting. Then we discuss about tools that have been used in the DevSecOps pipeline. So then we have seen this pros and cons. So that's it. So for this session. So if you got any questions, I can answer. So in the next part of webinar. So I'll be showing you the the tools, how the tools run, how we detect how they detect vulnerabilities, you know, how to create a pipeline. Those things will be there. So yeah. So if you got any questions, can I answer this?
Hi, Madhavan. Thanks for the session. Request all the participants, if you have any question, can you please post your question on the chat window? Madhavan, you can take the questions from the chat window and answer one by one.
Yeah.
It will be great.
Can we have people? Okay, yeah, fine. Any frameworks for the SecOps? So no, there are no frameworks available for the SecOps as of I know. Then Sumiru setup. No, Sumiru is a logo of our organization. So so what is CI/CD pipeline? Okay. So take it this way, like to implement DevOps, we'll be using this pipeline is simply a set of codes that will, that has different stages that will happen one by one. So I guess if you attend the next session, you'll get a better understanding about pipeline. So pipeline is simply a set of instructions. So it will get executed one by one. So inside the stages, we have the scripts like run this tool and get the output. So these instructions are there. So the pipeline, if the pipeline triggered, then this instruction will get executed, and then the pipeline will get run. So I hope this answer, but in the next part of webinar, I'll show you how the pipeline is, and then you'll get a better understanding then. So what is the use of Jenkins? So Jenkins is a CI/CD orchestration tool. So you need to write, like I said, the pipelines. I said pipelines are created, right? So you need to make use of some tool, right? So Jenkins is one of the tool where you can create this pipeline and then write down this instruction, and then integration, and then those deployment and the other instructions will happen here in the Jenkins. So this also I'll show you this I'll show you this Jenkins tool in the next session, I guess. So Jenkins is a CI/CD tool, if you can take. So it is used to like create the pipeline. Then you will be making triggering these tools with the help of that help of those pipelines. So you mentioned about yeah. So this is a question. So it's a great question. So they asked to give example for configuration about the configuration about this reducing the false positive. So you can take it. Let's say this tool is finding the vulnerabilities about to a particular what do you say, particular function. Let me tell you in what do you say, in PHP there is this function called I guess eval or something like that. So if the tool is reporting that particular function is detected in the code, then you can if the function is used in the proper way, you can go there in the tool, then you can write down some rules in the tool, like saying do not report the report if the function is found during the code base. So you can always fine tune the tool to 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 your expecting results. So So these things also I'll explain in the next part. So I'll show you an example, the tool itself. So there you can get a better understanding. So this is basically, you know, uh, making changes in the tool uh, to a tool to make the expected results. So some of the tools have this rules kind of rules configuration where you can change the rules about the detection of vulnerabilities. So I guess that answers to your question. So um, can we have the PPT? Yes, I can share the PPT with the boss. Specific tool set can make DevSecOps specifically paid version. Pipeline until all the security will do it go back and forth continuously in pipeline. We can make the pipeline to go back and forth, but usually the pipeline is mostly the one way. So, but you can make the pipeline to go back and forth. So pipeline is basically set of instruction. Like I said, you can always go back, and if you found a vulnerability here in this model, then you can trigger a go back and trigger a previous stage also. So that is possible. If manual testing is reliable, then why do we use tools for DevSecOps? So yeah, that's interesting. So manual testing is you cannot say it's reliable. So it can find vulnerabilities, can find potential vulnerabilities, but manual testing will miss some, also can miss some vulnerabilities. So every tester have their, way of finding vulnerabilities. So the results of manual testing will differ from everyone. So you cannot expect a reliable output from a manual testing. So every manual tester will give a different reports. I mean, give a different reports about the vulnerability. So manual testing is reliable in the sense of, I guess you are talking about the business aspect. I guess business logic vulnerability. So why in the business logic vulnerabilities you need to make use of manual testing. So you cannot automate those things, right? So you should someone should understand the business logic processes, and then they need to address those issues. So manual testing is reliable only in the case of finding business logic vulnerabilities, not in other default issues. So though the automated tools will give you 100% results in the sense of the how the tools is written. So it will not miswrite. So it will always scan the application that it is desired to be. So I hope that answer. The source code scanning is automated trigger post for development, or it needs to be manually. So source code scanning can be automatically triggered. So the entire pipeline is automatically. So the concept is mostly we'll be using automated triggering process. So the Jenkins and other GitLab tools will do this job. So the source code reading, source code scanning, other scans also will be automatically triggered. So also you can write the pipeline in a way that it requires a manual, triggering options. Manual testing make it. It's a time consuming at the same time. Yeah. What kind of vulnerabilities are detected? So I can say most of the vulnerabilities which are in the OWASP top 10 can be detected using this DAST and SAST tools, and also the other tools. Okay, so yeah, what kind of vulnerabilities are detected? Name application where DevOps use. I don't get the question properly. Where accurate results whenever executed or scheduled. Do you have suggestions for container and Kubernetes scanning? Yeah, so the container scanning and other scanning also can be introduced in this pipeline. So I guess there is a tool for container scanning also. So I'll tell the name in the next section or other. So, but container scanning is possible with this pipeline. So if you're making use of container and all, so you can always use these container scanning tools there. So do we need to bind SonarQube via script? Yeah, so not via script, but SonarQube has this CLI option. So you just install in the server and then you just call the tool via the commands in the pipeline. So in the pipeline, you just write the commands there. So like SonarQube /hat something like that. So it will get triggered there. These tools also identify threats in container Kubernetes. Yeah, so it can find the vulnerabilities in container and Kubernetes. So there is a tool for specifically for this tool. So the tools which I have shown will not, I guess it will not detect vulnerabilities specifically to container or Kubernetes. But you can always get a tool, specific tool about this container scanning of Kubernetes. Can you share the installation details again in the next session? So, okay, I don't have the installation details here with me, so I'll be showing them with in the next session. But you can always try to install them. If you have any roadblocks or any things, I can I can address them in the next session. Vulnerabilities are different where threat is something malware. So malware or malicious code. Yeah, so these tools will not scan malware or malicious codes, but there are specific specific tools there. We can make use of it to find out the malicious codes there. So tools that I have been shown here is mostly open source. So I don't want to, introduce any commercial tools here. So most of them were open source tools alone. So, but you can make use of commercial tools also in the pipeline. So that can produce a better results than this open source one. So yeah, so then how reliable is open source tools? Yeah. So yeah, it is. I can say it is reliable, but most of the open source gives us a better results. But if you want more than that, you should have to move towards commercial section. But for open source, these tools are pretty impressive that it can give us give us most of the vulnerabilities. Detect most of the vulnerabilities. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. I guess Abbas, that's it. I guess. So I have answered the question. So.
Thank you, Madhavan, for the webinar today. It was a good webinar. There are a lot of questions that were asked by the participants. hopefully the next webinar will be the practical part. I think the
Yeah.
participant will attend this session and they'll be happy to see the hands-on of today's session.
Yeah.
Request all the participants that the assessment link is active now. I'm sharing you the link in the chat window. Okay. Hopefully all have registered to our webinar on our portal. Only those who have registered. If you have not registered, you can also go and register on the ISEC webinar portal. You can see the assignment link that is active for you. If it is not active, you kindly register. That is one. Second thing, kindly give your feedback. The feedback for the link is shared in the chat window. The certificate will be issued tomorrow once the session is over. If you have any clarification, this particular window will be open for another